see you guys in the dark.
Good morning. Welcome to Barnaby's. I've been saying that for the last 35 years. Hi, I'm Pat. Pat Barnaby. I am the owner of this place. I've seen some really strange and horrible things happen here. But before I get into that, let me give you a little bit of background on this place. Barnaby's is a very old store. It's been in my family for many generations, going all the way back to my great-great-grandfather back in 1929. He built this place. I try to keep it as original as possible, with a few upgrades to keep up with the times. Anyway, I've been told by various family members that he won this piece of land in a poker game. They say that he won with aces and eights, the dead man's hand. For those of you that don't know why they call it the dead man's hand, that's the poker hand that frontier lawman Wild Bill Hickok was said to have holding when he was shot from behind and killed by Jack McCall. Anyways, I don't know about poker game stories. But what I do know, through research, is that this piece of land was once occupied by Native Americans and used as a burial ground. Some say that this land is even cursed. That would explain everything. I didn't really believe in such things, but I do now. Anyways, I've asked all my employees, past and present, to write down any horrible events or strange occurrences that they have witnessed, in story form, and turn them into me. I've got a couple so far, so I thought that I'd write my own. This is why I started my research. It was about 4:30 in the morning, about 2 weeks ago. I was home in bed, asleep. I got a call from our alarm company. They said that the motion detectors at our store were going off. So I got up, got dressed, and headed to the store. As soon as I pulled in, something felt off. I blew it off and parked the car. I got out and immediately heard the sound of Indian war cries off in the distance. It's got to be the wind or something, I thought. I started walking to the store. The cries got louder and closer. I started hearing the sounds of galloping horses along with the war cries. I started freaking out. I ran the rest of the way to the store, keys in my hand. The sounds were right behind me now. I got to the door, put the key into the lock. As soon as I did, the sounds had stopped. Dead silence. Just then, 2 police cars pull up. The alarm company apparently called them as well. They went into the store and did a walkthrough to make sure that no one was in there. I went in, turned off the alarm, then waited outside for them to finish. They came out about 20 minutes later, said everything was clear, and left. It was about 5:30 at this point, so I figured that I might as well stay here, since the store opens at 7. There's no sense in going home just to turn around and come back an hour later, right? So I caught up on some paperwork, straightened up some displays, and opened the store at 7. Nothing really eventful happened that day. I got that uneasy feeling a couple of times, and I kept seeing out of the corner of my eye what looked like Native Americans standing in the aisle, in the bathroom, even at the registers. But that was it. I left around 1:30, got to my car, and saw something that chilled me to the bone. A rock, in the shape of an arrowhead, was sitting in the passenger seat of my car. How the hell did that get there? I know my car was locked. I was afraid to even touch it, so I just left it there. I drove home trying not to look at it, but I couldn't help myself. It was like it was calling me. I got home and put it on my mantle over my fireplace. The next day, it was in my upstairs bathroom. The day after, my dining room. It showed up in a different room in the house every day since. I'm afraid to get rid of it, because I don't know what will happen. Last night, I dreamt that there was a Native American standing at the foot of my bed. Today, I woke up with that arrowhead sitting on my chest. Fresh from the field. That's our slogan here in produce. I'm Zeke, short for Ezekiel. I'm the assistant manager at Barnaby's. Yeah, I know. It sounds like an Amish name, right? Well, it is. I was raised Amish until my 16th birthday. When Rumspringa began, and when it was over, I decided to stay. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's a period of time in which Amish teenagers, usually between the ages of 14 to 21, depending on the community, are allowed to act like the English normal people, so to speak. They're allowed to ride in cars, listen to music, drink, smoke, have sex, anything the English can do. Then on their 18th or 21st birthday, again depending on the community, decide whether they want to live amongst the English for the rest of their lives or return to their Amish ways. Anyways, as I said, I chose to stay, being that I was raised Amish and know a lot about farming, fruits and vegetables, and things of that sort. This is the perfect job for me, and I love it. One thing, though, Barnaby's is a very old store. We still get all of our fruits and vegetables from local growers. Our customers seem to just love it. Anyways, I like my job and the people here, but there's something off about this place. It scares the crap out of me, sometimes. I've heard all of the stories. The fight over the turkey, the Indian burial ground thing, the incident with the Pepsi truck. I love Pepsi, by the way. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go get a Pepsi now. Hold on a second. Damn. All out of Pepsi. All I wanted was a Pepsi. Yeah, most of you won't get that reference, but it's okay though. Some of you will. Anyway, my job includes ordering, price changes, setting up displays, anything that the manager can do, simply because when she's not here, someone has to do it. All produce associates are responsible for filling the department, cleaning the shelves, baling the cardboard, and making bales, which leads me to my story. It was the end of March, 2013, right before Easter. We were busy as hell. People were buying everything. We were putting out product left and right, which created a lot of cardboard to be baled. In case you haven't noticed, I like to talk. Anyways, I needed a break from all the craziness after some old lady in one of those riding shopping cart things. I think they call it a mart cart or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, she slammed that thing right into our giant diamond nut display, knocking it over, spilling over 40 pounds of loose nuts all over the place. It was a nut-tastrophe. We just walked away. I went to the prep room, grabbed the cart of cardboard, and took it to the back room to bale it. The baler was full, like usual, so I had to make a bale. Now the baler is a very dangerous piece of equipment. It's basically a large hydraulic press. You throw the cardboard into the chamber below, close the safety gate, hit the down button, and a large metal press comes down and crushes the cardboard. When the chamber is full, you have to empty it, hence the phrase, make a bale. I saw the QA guy, Steven, roaming around back there. I asked him to give me a hand. He didn't think that it was funny, but that's a different story. Anyway, he agreed and grabbed a pallet to put the bale on. I grabbed the baling wire and started to wrap it around the bale. Now, baling wire is a very thin piece of wire and have been known to break. We finished wrapping the bale, put the pallet in place, closed the gate, hooked up the chains so that the bale would eject, and hit the up button. Stephen and I stepped to the side. Anyone who has worked in the grocery business for more than a week knows to stay clear of a bale being made. Well, apparently no one told Stephanie, the deli manager. She walked by just as the bale was ejecting. One of the wires snapped, came flying back, fast, and hit her directly on the side of her face, right over her left eye, and slicing her diagonally across her face. She fell to the ground, screaming, and grabbed her face, blood pouring out of her fingers. Stephen and I ran to go help her. Now I've seen many incidents like this, when I was growing up at least, so it didn't faze me. But to add to insult and to injury, Stephen thrown up, on Stephanie's lap. That's gross. Anyway, I had moved her hands. It was a bloody mess, like something from a bad 80s horror movie. Her eye was hanging out of its socket, her nose ripped completely off as well as her right cheek. The left side of her face was hanging down, exposing tissue, bone, and the empty eye socket. Most of her teeth were knocked out. She was screaming frantically, kicking her legs all around. She nailed Stephen right in his man parts. I snickered a little bit. He was useless at that point. Anyway, she started gasping for air. Her one eye rolled back into her head, and she passed out. Blood was gushing everywhere. I thought that she was dead. I picked her up, and ran out of the back room, through the store, and up to the front, completely covered in blood. I laid her on the conveyor belt. Thank God it didn't move, and I called for an ambulance. Customers and employees were screaming and puking. Some even had fainted. I saw some goth chick standing on the side, videotaping on her phone. Kids these days. Anyways, the ambulance had shown up, made sure that she was still alive. I didn't see how, after losing all of that blood, but she was. They put the left side of her face back in place, as well as her eye, then wrapped her entire head in gauze. She looked kind of like a mummy. They loaded her into the ambulance. Stephen came staggering out shortly after. Pat made him clean up the mess. He wasn't too happy about that. I heard that she's doing okay now. She quit right after that, and I really don't blame her. We've had a couple of deli managers since, but they didn't last too long, with all that has happened here. We're looking for one now as we speak. Clean up in aisle 12. Yeah, I'll never forget that day, but that's a different story. Hey there, I'm Steven. I'm the QA here at Barnaby's. For those of you that don't know what QA means, it's short for quality assurance. Yeah, it's just a glorified name for janitor. Now you have to understand that Barnaby's is a very old store. We don't have one of those big fancy floor scrubber machines like the big name stores do. No, I gotta carry a 10-gallon pickle bucket from the deli around all day, filled with Windex, paper towels, and other cleaning supplies and tools. Then fill the same bucket up with hot soapy water, with one of those mop squeezing things, if I have to mop the floors, that is. I don't really mind though. It's easy money. Anyway, I have been here for about 3 years now, and I love it. There's never a dull moment around this place. With all that I have seen, and the stories that I've heard, hell, I can't wait to come back to work. Anyways, as the only QA, my job includes sweeping, mopping the floors, getting carts, cleaning the bathrooms. Oh yeah, by the way, you people are nasty, okay? I sure hope that your bathrooms at homes don't look like that. It's pretty shameful. Anyways, another one of the jobs is taking out the trash. Speaking of trash, I have to get a story to tell you. Have you noticed that one of my favorite words is anyway? So anyway, just last week, around 10:30 in the morning, I just get done cleaning those nasty bathrooms and begin to gather the trash. I went outside to check the can out there. It was full as usual. I realized that I hadn't brought out any trash bags, so I went back in to go get some. Also bring out a cart to carry the bags in. When I come back out, I saw a large lawn and leaf bag sitting next to the trash can. I went over to it, tried to pick it up and put it into the cart. This thing was super heavy. Anyways, I saw my buddy Stuart, the DSD receiver. Yeah, he was out having a smoke. He doesn't drink Coke anymore. Don't ask him why. Anyways, I called him over to help lift it. He agreed, and together we tried. The first attempt, we moved it a little. We dig down deep and gave it everything that we had. The next attempt, we lifted it up and off the ground, and then the bottom fell out. Now I don't think anyone could ever be prepared for what we saw come out of that bag. Human body parts. Better yet, fresh human body parts. I'm not talking one or two. I'm talking 30, 40, maybe even more. There were arms, legs, hands, feet, and skulls. Different sizes, different colors. There was blood, pieces of bones, chunks of flesh, all covered by this white gooey looking stuff. The maggots were just having a feast. And smell? Oh my God, it did smell. It was pretty disgusting. Stuart and I both throw up on the pile. The customer stopped coming at this point. Anyways, I pulled out my cell phone. I dialed 911. They said that they would send someone out, and the coroner. Stuart heard the word coroner and went inside. He's still traumatized, but that's a different story. A forensic team showed up about 30 minutes later, took pictures, separated the body parts, and none of them had matched. I watched this whole thing. It was cool as shit. Anyway, the coroner shows up, put each body part in a separate evidence bag, and numbered each one, loaded them in the van, and then left. I counted them. The forensic team finished up, cleaned up the crime scene, and left. By the way, there was 52 bags. It gives a whole new meaning to the word 52 pickup, anyway. Spend 100 or more and get a free 20-pound or less frozen turkey while supplies last. That was the promotion that our store ran every Thanksgiving for the last 17 years. Well, for as long as I've been here, that is. Not this year. This year we're not running that promotion. I really don't blame them after what happened last year. Let me tell you what happened. First all, my name is Jim. I'm the meat manager here at Barnaby's. I saw the whole thing. It was 2 days before Thanksgiving. I was working the morning shift, like I always do. It was around 11 o'clock, I'd say. We just received our truck, but unfortunately, the turkeys we ordered were out of stock from the warehouse. For those of you that don't know what that means, it means that the warehouse didn't have anything to send us. Shit, this isn't good, I said to myself. I went to the case to see how many we actually had left. All we had was one lone turkey. Fuck. Then it happened. From opposite end of the aisle came two women. One, an older Asian woman, and two, a younger blonde Barbie wannabe. They both arrived at this case at the same time. I informed them that this was the last turkey we had due to the warehouse issue. Their eyes widened with fear and shock as they both turned to the freezer case. The Asian woman grabbed the door, flung it open, hitting Barbie in the face, and knocking her back. Barbie screamed like some kind of demon, charged, and grabbed the Asian woman by the hair, spinning her around, and slamming her head first into the adjacent glass freezer case door, nearly missing a small child that stood with her mother in the aisle. She grabbed her kid, and then ran. Now, Barnaby's is a very old store. We still have actual glass freezer doors. Anyways, a few seconds went by, and the Asian woman crawled out of the case and turned. Pieces of glass were stuck into her face, arms, and her neck. She was bleeding like a pig. She pulled the rather large piece of glass from her neck, holding it in her hand, blood dripping everywhere. She tried covering the wound with her other hand, but blood was just gushing out from between her fingers. I swear to God, I almost puked all over myself. Anyway, she screamed and charged Barbie as she was lifting the turkey out of the case. She drove that piece of glass directly into Barbie's heart, knocking back against the freezer case door. Barbie coughed up blood and spewed it right in the Asian's face as she screamed in pain. Then, in slow motion, both fell to the floor, as well as the turkey, which rolled halfway down the aisle, blood being everywhere. People screaming and running. One guy tried to jump over them, but slipped in the blood and face-planted right into an abandoned shopping cart. I'm sorry, but that was pretty funny. He was okay, though. He got up and staggered away. We are trained not to interfere with robbers, shoplifters, and even fights such as this, so I just stood there. I guess one of the customers, who wasn't videotaping on their phone, or a manager or someone called the cops. They showed up and closed the store down. The paramedics showed up, did their thing as the employees, including myself, moved any customers up to the front for checkout. As I walked back through the door to make sure that there was no more customers, I saw the paramedics covering the bodies with white sheets. They died, right there in aisle 12. I saw the turkey still lying there on the floor, still frozen. I picked it up, as I needed one myself. I took it to the front, paid for it, gave the cops my statement, and brought it home to my family. My wife cooked it up, and we had an amazing Thanksgiving dinner. The best part was the turkey, though. Yeah, that thing was to die for. 12 items or less. The express lane. That's where they stick all the newbies, like me. My name is Marcus. I just got hired here at Barnaby's as a cashier about a week ago. Places like this always hire seasonal help for the holidays, like now, being that it's Christmas and all. I was hoping that they would keep me on after the holidays, but after what happened today, I don't know if I'm going to want to come back. I just finished my training yesterday, and today was my first day going solo. I was excited, being this was my first job. I just couldn't wait. The day started out pretty good. I arrived to work early, like my dad always said to do. It makes a good impression, he said. I clocked in, got my till. For those of you that don't know what a till is, it's that little black box that holds the money in the register. We have to get a fresh till at the beginning of our shift. By fresh, I mean $120 in coins and bills. Anyways, I walked over to the register, opened up the drawer, put in my till. I closed the drawer, announced the register was open, and began to ring up my customers. Now, Barnaby's is a very old store. We still have push-button cash registers. All the big-name stores have UPC laser scan machines, but not us. We still have to hand key in the prices of a price sticker. We do have a conveyor belt system, though. It looks like some kind of torture device, with sharp, jagged metal claws at the end, like an escalator has, and the sensors that stop the belts. Only works when they want to, though. Anyways, it was about 2 hours into my shift. A middle-aged lady wearing red pants and a green sweater with a white button-up shirt underneath, and what appeared to be a strand of miniature Christmas lights around her neck like a necklace, dangling down almost to the top of her pants, walking into my line. I greeted her with a hello, as we are trained to do. She put her items on the belt. I rang up and told her the price. Then it happened. She bent over, handing me the money, her necklace hitting the conveyor belt. It started moving pretty fast. It caught her necklace and yanked her down, face first, into the belt, and dragged her into the metal claws. It happened so quickly. She screamed as the claws tore open her face, blood spewing everywhere. She tried pulling herself free, but every time she did, the belt would pull her face back down into the claws. She was screaming, kicking, and thrashing her arms all around. Luckily, Jim, the meat manager, was behind her. He was involved in an accident last year, but that's a different story. Anyway, he whipped out his box cutter, cut the woman's necklace, freeing her completely. She fell back into his arms. Her face was all mangled. Her left cheek ripped completely off, her left eye dangling out of its socket, blood pouring out of her face. I covered my mouth and forced the vomit back down my throat. There were pieces of flesh sticking out of the claw in the conveyor belt, blood on the belt and register and the floor. Not to mention, poor Jim, he was covered in blood as well. I was in shock. I've never seen anything like that before, only in horror movies. But this was real life. She started shaking and twitching, gasping for air. Then she just passed out. Her body went limp. I thought that she was dead. Several people vomited as well, and others had fainted. Someone was just standing there videotaping on their phone. What the hell was wrong with these people? People must have called the cops. They showed up and shut down the store. The paramedics arrived and tended to this woman. They made sure that she was still breathing, bandaged her up, and took her away. The cops took our statements and left. We were all sent home after that. I sat in my car for about 30 minutes, staring out the windshield, trying to pull myself together, to be able to just drive home. That was pretty fun. I told my dad what happened. He said that it was up to me if I want to go back or not. But then I thought about it. After hearing Jim's story the other day, this could be a pretty cool place to work. I'm definitely going back. I can't wait to see what happens tomorrow. Vendor at the back door. That's all I hear, all day long. Well, at least from 7 till 1. I'm Stuart. I'm the DSD receiver here at Barnaby's. I've been here for the last 15 years. For those of you that don't know what DSD stands for, it stands for Direct Store Delivery, which means that I'm in charge of receiving all product that's delivered to the store by outside companies, such as Tasty Cake, Frito-Lay, Little Debbie, and all the soda and bread companies, things like that. Also, any books and magazines that you may see in the store. As you may already know, Barnaby's is a very old store. We don't have any computers. Every bill invoice I get is physically checked in and verified by me, signed off by me, then filed away in a large file cabinet in the office. We hold them for a year, then send them up to the main office. Anyways, this place has a long history of weird and horrible events that has happened here. It was January, 2 years ago, a few days after New Year's. It had snowed the night before. Not bad, but it was bad enough. It was about 8:30 in the morning, I'd say. One of our bread vendors was pushing a bread rack down the ramp and out of his truck when he slipped and fell on the ice, slid down the ramp, bounced off the sidewall and right into the path of an 18-wheeler Pepsi truck backing up to the deck for delivery. The driver tried to stop, but his wheels locked and the whole truck slid on the ice as well. It was too late. He screamed right before the truck ran him over. I've never heard anyone scream like that before. It still gives me nightmares. The wheels of the truck crushed his skull, then ran over his body continuously as the truck slid down the incline and slammed into the loading dock doors. The right front passenger side tire stopped directly on the body. It was horrible. I threw up right there in the snow. There was blood and bones, pieces of flesh smashed down into the snow, on the tires of the truck and the bread rack. Severed body parts that looked like internal organs spread out all over the body. The worst part about it is that the truck had to run back over him to clear the crime scene, once the cops and the coroner got there. I used to wonder how they cleaned up automotive accidents such as this. Now I know. I'm sure that they have a proper name for it, but to me, it looked like a giant snow shovel. They scraped up the remains, put them in a body bag. They had to scrape it up about 3 or 4 times just to get all of him. There was blood dripping off of it, body parts hanging out of it. I almost puked once again. Now get this. They used 2-liter bottles of Coke to clean up the blood off the pavement. No, seriously. Coca-Cola. Look it up if you don't believe me. Anyways, isn't it ironic that they used Coke to clean up a crime scene involving a Pepsi truck? Sorry about that. Bad joke. Anyways, sometimes when I'm outside cleaning up where the truck pulls in, sweeping, picking up the trash, that kind of stuff, I swear that I can see him standing there, right where he died, staring at me. It always freaks me out. But that's not the only ghost that we have here. The owner, Pat, has seen a few Native American ghosts around the store, but that's a different story. Anyway, the driver of the truck was not charged with anything, as it was clearly an accident. The cops impounded the truck as evidence, took witness statements, and then left. The coroner left as soon as he finished removing the remains. I don't know where the driver went. I went home sick, obviously. I just couldn't do it anymore. Hell, I'm getting nauseous just thinking about it. I'll never forget that day for as long as I live. And I haven't used a snow shovel since then.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.